So in this video we will see how to use JSON server as our API server. So later once we write our Node.js code, we'll integrate into our React application. But for now we'll use JSON server. Before doing that, I would like to do one thing. So if you see here in the application, if I go to any invalid route, we get this blank page. So whenever you set up routes, you should also have catch all routes or page not found route. So you should define a new route with path equal to star if you are using version 6 of React router. And for now, I will just redirect it to the home page. I will use navigate component from React router down to equal to slash. So slash is our expense list. So whenever I enter any invalid URL, let's say help, I will be redirected back to the home page. So I can enter anything and you will be redirected to home page. This is a good user experience. So you don't see blank screen. So now let's work on setting up the backend server. So for that we can install JSON server, and this is only needed for our local development. It's not needed in our actual code. So we'll be installing it as a dev dependency using --save dev flag. So it will not be added in our dependency section. Instead it will be added in dev dependencies. So it's a very popular server. You can make API requests, so get, post, put, any type of request you can make once you set up this JSON server. It's very easy to set up. So now you can see JSON server is added to our dev dependency. Now we can create this db.json file which is required for JSON server. So it will be an object and we need to define the route. So let's say users route. When I access users, I want is Mike Jackson, these users in the back response. Now we can go to package.json where I will add a start script, start server. I can say JSON server dot slash db.json. So package.json and db.json are in the same folder. So that's why we are using dot slash. Now ---- port 4000 ---- watch. So anytime I make change to db.json, this server will be restarted. So now I can execute npm run start server. Now you can see we have this API endpoint. So when I execute this, you can see Mike and Jackson. So you can add anything. So let's say it's an array of objects. So name Mike, so it needs to be in string, name Mike, age 30. So this is one user. I can add another user 50. Now if I refresh, you can see you get that JSON data. So this is the raw data and this is the formatted data. So you don't need to create your backend Node.js server just to get this data. So we have created our REST API using this JSON server, but we don't want this for users, so we want for expenses. So if you see the final application, we have list of expenses, the expense type, date, amount, description. So instead of users, we can say expenses. Let me zoom in, expenses, and it will be ID. So each expense you need one ID, unique ID. So you can easily identify that, and we have expense type. So we can make it card. And next expense date, it will be TDMMYY format. 216. So this is the date and expense amount. Expense amount. Let's say 1000. So this is one expense. I can copy paste. Second expense, this will be card. Say 4. And expense description, we also want the description of this. I can say description. electricity bill, let's say 500, internet description bill. Let me add one more. This will be cash transaction. It's 2022. 10,000 personal expense. So these are the three expenses now we have, and we have already added watch flag. So as soon as I save this, we have all the information. You can just refresh here. We don't have now users, we have expenses. You can see you get this list of expenses. So the key name is expenses, and we are able to get this data. So now we'll make API call to this URL, this particular URL to get, and we can also make post API, delete API request, any type of request we can make. So we don't have to set up our own Node.js backend server. So let's start displaying this information on the list page. So if you see, this is the dashboard page where we display this list of information. So in the next video, we'll display that list of expenses on this particular dashboard component.